Welcome to Mind Your Mental Health channel. This is our 9th episode. So far, in the past 8 episodes, we were discussing about mind, where it is, what it is, and how does it work, and different components. We talked about perception, we talked about thinking and thought, we talked about emotions, behavior, and apart from these 4 components, we also talked about primary mental functions, namely the orientation, attention, concentration, and memory. Under the memory, we talked about immediate memory, recent memory, and remote memory. So these are all different aspects of the mind. And all these dynamics or all these functions are based in the brain. Brain is the foundation. Brain is the organ where mind is situated. So these are all functions of the brain basically. And it might appear very simple, as I said. Now it's a perception, we receive information, store it, and thinking process, we retrieve that information, think about it, and then find a solution or do some actions, and then move on to the next train of thoughts. And then with the thoughts and the perception comes emotions, and we react emotionally. And all 3 together, perception, thought, and emotions together produces behavior. And all these 4 functions depends on the primary mental functions. If it is so simple, everybody should be behaving in almost similar way. It doesn't happen that way. Everybody is unique. Everyone's personality is unique. The way they react is unique. Even though they are born in the same family, grown together, they are different. Their mindset might be different. So there might be some differences. So why does it happen? That's a question we've been asking. How does mind express itself? Why there are variation? Why a same person reacts to a particular situation differently, another situation differently? There's a number of permutation and combinations. Now, that's why it's difficult to understand mind. And many persons, many philosophers, scholars, scientists, psychologists, psychiatrists, sociologists, even anthropologists have contributed to this understanding of the mind. Early days, ancient days, centuries and centuries ago, it was philosophers who were thinking about mind. Number of them, Aristotle and Plato and Confucius, there are many philosophers. They contributed to the understanding of the mind. They proposed their own theories, how mind works or what is mind. They talked about mind, body dualism. There are many philosophical theories which came about mind. One thing we need to understand is from the time immemorial, from the ancient time, the science, medicine have been developing over a period of time, in centuries. If you look at the development, it all dependent on other developments in that particular year or particular period. For example, I talked about philosophers. Philosophers' time, we didn't have much equipments. We didn't have X-rays, we didn't have blood tests, we didn't know anything about the brain chemistry. So that time, it's only thinking. The sound thinking, the philosophical thinking made them think about mind and then propose certain theories. As we moved on, years on years, centuries on centuries, we had more skills and we had more techniques to understand mind. Now we had developed techniques to study the chemistry of the brain. Neurochemistry developed. Then we started looking at when the emotion change, what chemical change is happening. That way, the developments in the science at that particular point contributed to the understanding of the mind. So many persons, many scholars have contributed to understanding the mind. Still, we haven't understood completely. If you ask me 100%, have you understood mind? No. There are many more research to be done, many more understanding to be made. But the understanding, the contribution to the understanding of the mind came from the philosophers, I said, and scholars, then psychologists, psychiatrists, To a certain extent, neurology also contributed. In fact, Sigmund Freud was a neurologist. And then sociologists contributed to the understanding of the mind and behavior. So the different scientific faculties have contributed to the understanding of the mind. There are hundreds of people whom we can quote when we discuss about psychology of the mind or how the mind works. But for our channel purpose, I am going to restrict to 3 concepts. One is based on psychoanalytical concept. We'll do a couple of episodes on that. Then we talk about interpersonal interactions based on that concept, and also behaviorism or behavioral model. These are the 3 areas I will take up to discuss about mind, different aspects of the mind, how the mind works. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about a couple of concepts which comes from the psychoanalytic school and founded by Sigmund Freud, a great person, and his contribution to psychiatry is immense. His contribution to understanding of mind is extremely valuable. And he made a number of contributions, now interpretation of dream and different topographical theories, structural theories, many number of theories and understandings he was able to give us. Among that, I'm going to select 2 theories of Sigmund Freud. One is topographical theory, other one is structural theory. In this episode, 9th episode, I'm going to talk about topographical concept or models of a mind. Okay, when we say topographical, you can also say regional. So, Freud divided the mind into 3 areas or 3 regions or 3 areas. He said conscious, subconscious, sometimes we also call it as unconscious mind. Conscious, subconscious. In between the conscious and subconscious mind, we have preconscious. So he had proposed 3 levels of consciousness. That forms the 3 levels of mind. And how the mind works, it depends on these 3 levels: conscious, preconscious, and subconscious or unconscious. Preconscious is what we perceive at this moment. That's a reality, what is happening around us. Currently, what is happening, how I am talking, what I am thinking, that is in the conscious level. The preconscious is part of the subconscious, but which is nearer to the consciousness. So if I dip a little bit deeper, I can go into the preconscious. But I can't access subconscious or unconscious that easily. So conscious level is readily available to me. Preconscious is something which is just below the conscious level, easily accessible to me, but subconscious is not that easily accessible. So to make it simple, to give an example, an iceberg is a mass of ice which floats in the water, body of water in the ocean. The structure of the iceberg, which when it floats, is like it's something like there is a tip of the iceberg which is visible on the water level, above the water level, and that will form about 10% of the iceberg, whole iceberg. And there is another 10% or 5% of the iceberg we can see looking through the water, but just below. Small portion iceberg I can still see, but I need to look for it. Readily I can see is what is above the water. Very clearly it's available. We can see it. There is something which I can see if I look into it. Now just below the water level, I can see a bit of a body of the ice. But the huge, about 80 or 85% of the iceberg is submerged. I may not be able to see. I don't think I'll be able to see. Just looking at it, I won't be able to see. So this part is called subconscious or unconscious. The part of the iceberg which is still there in the water, but I can't see it, that is subconscious. Part of the iceberg which is readily seen above the water level, probably what we call the tip of the iceberg, is conscious level. There is a portion of iceberg which I can see looking through the water. That is preconscious. So we have conscious level which is readily accessible to me, and there is a preconscious level, there is a subconscious level. We hold certain informations at the conscious level, certain information, certain mental functions at the preconscious level, and certain things at the subconscious level. At the conscious level, analytical thinking, what I am thinking about, what I am dealing with the day-to-day activities, and what the problems I am dealing with, all those things are in the conscious level as I am dealing with it. Preconscious level, there is a problem, but I need more information which is not readily available. I need to think, I think and then bring back that information and use it. That information is the preconscious level. Subconscious level is a completely different set of information. It could be our past experiences, pleasant experiences, or bad experiences, our desires, our drive, our forbidden thoughts, forbidden desires, some other things which we have done in the past made me feel guilty. All those things, emotionally charged events, which is too painful to my real kind of a reality, all submerged in that subconsciousness. It's a huge bag which has positive things and negative things, but which is not readily available to me because it's submerged over a period of time. I would have gone through a traumatic experience 10 years ago, through something, through a friend, or I got hurt, or I had a very bad experience where I wasn't able to control the desire, which is not desirable one. Then I've done something that buried into my subconscious, because if it still remains at the conscious level, it's going to be painful every day. So there is a mechanism which submerges it into this, pushes deep into subconscious, but it's still there. So the subconscious, the huge part of our mind, contains all this information. They are not comes to our conscious level on a daily basis, but it modifies our behavior. It indirectly modifies our behavior. So those information, those experiences which all submerged or pushed down into subconscious, still there, it acts on us in different way. He gave two example. One is slip of the tongue, where you want to say something, you say something else. Now, one of the example quoted in a classic textbook is a renowned person is giving a talk, and he was talking about somebody, and instead of saying best, he said breast. So people try to analyze that. Why did he say breast? That slip could be linked to the subconscious desire or subconscious drive he has, or sexuality. It could be anything. So we can't directly connect to it, but still the subconscious material acts on us and makes that slip. Similarly, Freud said our dream is manifestation of our subconscious kind of interaction, whatever information we have in the subconscious level, which is expressed in the dream in a symbolic way, not in a directly way. You can't directly say, this is my dream, this is related to this particular material of a subconscious. You need to work through. There is something called dream process. They analyze it. It's a long process. So to sum it up, what Freud said is, we have three levels of consciousness: conscious, preconscious, and subconscious. Conscious is the one which deals with the day-to-day activity, that is reality. And preconscious is the one which is available to us, but we need to pick it up. It's not it's there on the conscious level. It is just below the conscious level. If I want, I can pick it up. And subconscious is the deep, huge 80% of our mind, which has all our experiences, desires, ambitions, everything is there, and which is driving us, which is influencing our behavior. So, to understand the person, we need to understand all these three levels. Another way of understanding consciousness, preconsciousness, and subconsciousness is, another example is, suppose there is a power failure now. We are in a pitch darkness. No lights. Now another half an hour we are not going to get any power. So it's middle of the night. So somehow I found a candle. I lit a candle. So there's some light. So if I look around, I can see few things to a certain extent, few feet. I can see few things. I can see the table. I can see some stand there. I can see somebody is there. So this much, what I can see is conscious level. That is equivalent to conscious level. What I can see with the candlelight. But there are few other things beyond clarity, but I can see the silhouette. I can see there is something there. That is pre-conscious. Okay? With the light, I can see very clearly few things. That is conscious. With the same light, beyond certain distance, I can still see few things, but it's not very clear. I may not go on dash against it, hit against it, but because I know it is there, but I may not know clearly what it is. That is pre-conscious level. So if I go near that with the candle, I can access that information. I know what exactly it is. But beyond that, in the next room, in the end of the hall, there are things which is dark. I can't see. Even though I have the light here, candle light here, because it's not powerful enough to reach that. So that is what we call it as a subconscious. So what I see near me through a candlelight is conscious level. What I guess there is something because of the dim light there, that is pre-conscious. I can always access it. I can go near it with a candle and access it. What is beyond that, the darkness, I might know there are a few tables and there's a card and there's something else there. I might know from my experience, but I can't see it. But all those things modify my behavior, how I walk. I see things very clearly, I walk confidently. If I can't see few things, I walk cautiously. And I know there are few things there in the darkness, but my light is not reaching, but I'll be prepared for it. So that material which is there in the darkness modifies my behavior. That's a kind of a concept. I'm trying to give a very simple example. It is not that simple. Take it from me, it is not that simple. But that's how we try to understand mind. So the Sigmund Freud contribution was topographical model, and he explained these three levels of or areas of regions of topography of the mind. Another important contribution, another very interesting contribution is structural part of the mind. He also talked about structural aspect of the mind, which we will discuss in the next episode. We will discuss about ego and superego, and we'll discuss how does it work and defense mechanism, few other things in the next episode. Thank you for being with us. See you in the next episode.